There is a liquid that costs $2, not a battery replacement at $200, not a conditioning service at the dealership for $85, not a branded battery treatment from the auto parts store for $25, $2, and a single application added directly to your existing battery cells in under 2 minutes extends your battery's service life by up to 100%. Not for one season, not until the next cold winter kills it permanently. Japanese authorized mechanics have been applying this compound to every lead-acid battery they service since the 1960s. It is the single most important reason why car batteries in Japan routinely reach 8 to 12 years of service life, while identical batteries in Western markets are failing at 3 to 5 years. Same battery chemistry, same electrical load, same climate stress, different liquid. $2 worth of liquid. And the reason you have never heard of it has nothing to do with whether it works. It works perfectly. The reason you have never heard of it is that the automotive battery replacement industry in the United States alone generates over $8 billion in annual revenue. Battery replacements every 3 to 4 years at $150 to $250 per unit. Every single one of those sales depends on your battery failing on schedule. A $2 compound that stops that failure permanently is not a product opportunity for that industry. It is an existential threat. To understand what this liquid is and why it works, we need to go back to 1962. Japan is in the middle of its post-war economic miracle. The streets of Tokyo are filling with cars faster than any infrastructure planner predicted. Taxi fleets, delivery companies, and government vehicle pools are all facing the same problem. Batteries are dying too fast. A team of electrochemical engineers at the Japan Storage Battery Company, the predecessor to GS Yuasa, the same company that today supplies batteries to Boeing and Honda, begins a classified internal research program. The question is direct. What actually kills a lead-acid battery? They already knew the surface answer. Sulfation, the process by which lead sulfate crystals form on the battery's lead plates during normal discharge and fail to fully dissolve back during recharging. Over time, those crystals harden, grow, and physically block the plate surface from participating in the chemical reaction that produces electrical current. A sulfated battery cannot hold a full charge, cannot deliver full cranking amps, cannot recover. It is declared dead and replaced. But the GS Yuasa engineers asked a different question. What if sulfation was not inevitable? They tested 31 different electrolyte additives over 4 years. One compound outperformed every other additive in the study. It dissolved existing soft sulfate crystals from plate surfaces. It prevented new crystal formation during discharge cycles. It stabilized electrolyte density across temperature extremes. And it cost almost nothing because it was not a synthetic molecule. It was a purified mineral compound. The compound is magnesium sulfate. The chemical formula is MgSO4. In its hydrated form, it is sold at every pharmacy on Earth under a name you already know, Epsom salt. And it costs $2 for enough material to treat every battery in every car you will ever own for the rest of your life. By 1968, GS Yuasa had quietly incorporated magnesium sulfate conditioning into the service protocol for every fleet account it supplied across Japan. Authorized mechanics at Toyota, Nissan, and Honda dealerships were adding it to battery electrolyte as a standard step during every major service interval. It was considered basic maintenance. It was never advertised. It was never explained to retail customers. And it was never included in the export service documentation sent to Western markets. They did not stop using it because it failed. They stopped telling you about it because it worked too well. Think carefully about what a $2 compound that permanently prevents the primary failure mechanism of a $200 battery actually means for the industry built around that failure. It means the replacement sale disappears. A battery that routinely reaches 12 years of service life is not a product opportunity. It is an existential threat to an $8 billion annual replacement market. If you have made it this far, you already understand something that the overwhelming majority of car owners have never been told. Subscribe and share this with someone who just paid $200 for a battery replacement that a $2 treatment would have prevented. Hit the bell because what I'm about to show you is the part that makes every battery retailer in the country deeply uncomfortable. But stay here because the science is the part that makes every branded battery conditioner on the market look like an expensive bottle of slightly modified water. The commercial battery treatments at every auto parts store contain magnesium sulfate as their primary active ingredient. Pull up the safety data sheet on any of them. MgSO4 is right there in the chemical composition section. They take $2 worth of raw crystals, dissolve them in distilled water at 3% concentration, pour the solution into a branded bottle and sell it back to you for $12 to $22. The chemistry is identical to what GS Yuasa engineers specified in 1968. The molecule has not changed. The only things that changed are the label and the price. A study published in the Journal of Power Sources in 2017 measured sulfation rates in lead-acid batteries treated with magnesium sulfate versus standard electrolyte controls. After 400 simulated charge and discharge cycles, the equivalent of approximately 4 years of normal automotive use, the treated batteries showed 78% less plate sulfation by surface area. The study was peer-reviewed and replicated by an independent research group at Osaka Prefecture University. 78% less sulfation from a compound that costs $2. A fleet operator running 24 Toyota Crown taxis in Nagoya has been documenting magnesium sulfate treatments across his entire fleet since 2006. His oldest active vehicle is still running on a battery installed in 2014. That battery is now 11 years old, still delivering 94% of its rated cold cranking amp capacity, still starting the engine at -8 degrees Celsius without hesitation. His annual battery maintenance cost across the entire fleet runs at approximately $40 per year total. A comparable fleet in Toronto replaces batteries at an average interval of 3.5 years. At $180 per battery installed, that fleet spends over $1,200 per year on replacements across a comparable operation. The difference is $1,100 a year, and it comes down to a $2 bag of crystals that the Toronto fleet manager has never been told exists. That is not an accident. That is a business model. Here is exactly what to do, and it takes 2 minutes. Go to any pharmacy or grocery store and purchase pharmaceutical-grade magnesium sulfate, sold universally as Epsom salt. A 500-gram bag costs $2 to $4 and contains enough material to treat 8 to 10 batteries completely. This procedure works only on standard flooded lead-acid batteries with removable cell caps. Do not use unsealed AGM, gel cell, or lithium batteries. Most vehicles manufactured before 2015 use flooded lead acid. Check your battery label if you're unsure. Wait until your battery is at full charge after a long drive or overnight on a charger. Remove the cell caps from the top of your battery using a flat screwdriver. Dissolve 1 level teaspoon of magnesium sulfate in 100 milliliters of distilled water and stir until completely clear. Using a plastic syringe, add 15 milliliters of the solution to each battery cell. Replace the caps firmly and wipe the battery top clean. Start the engine and allow it to run for 20 minutes. The charging system circulates the solution through the full electrolyte volume, and heat begins the desulfation process on any existing crystal deposits. Drive normally for the next 200 miles. After 200 miles, the electrolyte chemistry is fully stabilized and the protection is permanent. Total material cost $2 to $4. Total time 2 minutes of active work. The equivalent conditioning service at a dealership using a branded magnesium sulfate product at reduced concentration, $65 to $95 per visit, recommended every 2 years. Victorian telegraph engineers used mineral electrolyte additives to keep their station batteries running for decades without replacement. United States Army Signal Corps technicians documented the same compound extending field radio battery life by 60 to 80% during World War II trials at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Japanese fleet engineers used it to keep taxi batteries running for 11 years in the most demanding stop-and-go operating environment on Earth. And the battery replacement industry spent the intervening decades making sure you never connected those 3 facts. $8 billion in annual replacement revenue depends on your battery sulfating on the schedule they designed it to sulfate on. The compound is called magnesium sulfate. The formula is MgSO4. It costs $2. It has never failed a single independent test. And the only reason your battery does not already contain it at full concentration is that full concentration extends battery life long enough to eliminate too much of the replacement revenue that the current formulation generates on schedule. If this video changed how you look at your battery and at the industry charging you $200 every 4 years for a failure that a $2 compound prevents permanently, subscribe and share this right now. Every share puts this information in front of someone still buying replacement batteries that were never supposed to fail this soon.